what the pandemic has offered us. Okay, the pandemic has offered us to really focus on what is important. What's important to you? Who do you want to be around? And how do you amplify your gifts? Like, who are you? What is your purpose? What are you doing here on this planet at this time? And, you know, how can that work for you, right? So what's really important, because a lot of times people are just so distracted all the time, right? And now we've been forced to either, if you're alone, to really do some soul searching and digging really deep into discovering, you know, who is that person? And so a lot of that is not fun, right? Like, you really got to look yourself in the face and say, like, do I really like who I've become? Yeah,
I can take that. It's tricky. And I guess it's so painful as well for I mean, myself. I went through it, and it's a painful process, but it's a necessary one, right?
Absolutely. And I think that this time in particular, like, if it was so easy, everyone would be doing it, right? And we'd all be resonating at these levels of like beautiful energy and love and sharing and compassion and forgiveness and all of that stuff, right? But it's who you, if you really want to face yourself and to like help yourself overcome, you know, the inner child or childhood trauma, even if it's micro or macro, like, this is really the time. There is time to do it.
And how? But this is the thing. There's time to do it.
Yes.
But yet, again, whenever given the opportunity, it seems like, I notice it for myself, right? So I've been taking time away from my phone. So I would be before I would be constantly on my phone. Like, you would text me, I would literally be responding. I would be super connected. It was to a point where I would actually sense a text before it came.
You would sense the text.
Yes, it was that. There was this level of synchronicity with me and my phone. It was just not healthy at all. And I've noticed that since I've been practicing about, you know, for the past 3 months or so, I've been really 3.5 months ago, I've been really distanciating myself from the phone and not having it as close to me as it would be. Always have it on sleep on silent mode and do not disturb. This way I would not be disturbed by all these, you know, notifications, because I think that one of the main issue that we have is the distractions that we have at hand. It's easy to access anything, and yet we've become so lazy. Therefore, that laziness is creating this sense of like losing sight over understanding how our instincts are working. And so, can you maybe, according to you, what would you say is one of the basic concept about instincts, and how does it manifest itself eventually, especially in this time and age, right? Oh, well, just explain it to however you want to explain it to, based on whichever reference you may have.
Okay, so first of all, I want to just chime in on something you just said, okay?
Yeah, go
ahead. I don't really believe it's laziness. I believe that we use distraction because it's a tool that stops us from really allowing ourselves to see ourselves. For example, if there's, you know, Ayurvedically, there's 3 different kind of doshas, 3 different types of characteristics of, you can fit into 3 real categories of people, right? So one is the very creative, one is the fireball, and the other one is more the earthly, the rooted, the more loving and compassionate, right? So we have all of these 3 together. So when we have a distraction, it's not necessarily that you're lazy. It's that whichever one you really feel yourself more as to be, it's either that you don't you're afraid to do any one of those three things, right? You're afraid to be more maybe creative. There's something blocking you, so you use a distraction so you don't have to go and do your creativity, right? Or you're the fireball and you got like so many things to do and your deadline. Maybe you can't handle one more deadline, right? And then the other one is more like that's more, the last one is more procrastination. Maybe you're afraid to face yourself, or there's so many different ways of looking at that in the first place. But I don't think it's laziness at any one of those forms. It's really to identify what actually is it in that space, in that moment in time, that you're maybe afraid to look at or afraid to do. So you're now using your phone or you're using your computer to like distract yourself, right? So I wouldn't label it lazy, because lazy is like you're kind of shaming the person into like thinking that they're not doing the work, right? There's always something that they're not
this is really refined now. So basically, okay, I get it. So by saying that we became lazy, we kind of like already implementing a negative idea about someone being distracted from the actual, from actually listening to the instincts. Okay, so that's not being lazy. It's just attention being
distracted,
sidetracked, I guess. Okay,
thwarted. You're not listening to your soul. Let's call it your soul. Your soul is like shining beacon of light all the time, right? It doesn't feel angry, doesn't feel sad, doesn't feel disappointment, shame, guilt, whatever. It doesn't feel any of that stuff, right? It doesn't even feel happy or loved. It just exists.
Interesting. It's because you would imagine that people, everybody, whenever you feel something so deeply, I felt it in my soul.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say that so we're spiritual beings having a physical existence. So physically, we're going to feel stuff because that's how we're built. But like spiritually, you just exist. You're like electricity. You plug in the computer, it lights up. You unplug it from the electricity, it's still lighting up. It's just we're not tuning into it. Do you know what I mean? So we have to be really careful when we start labeling people and saying, oh my God, or even ourselves, right? Oh my God, I'm so lazy, I didn't do it. Right then and there, using the word lazy, it's like a negative vibration. You're already bringing yourself down, and you're already kind of shaming yourself. You're making yourself feel guilty about something that you didn't do, as opposed to, why am I not doing it? Why am I distracting myself? Why am I going to go make food and feed myself when I'm not even hungry? It's an emotional distraction. Why am I going to watch, 10 series of Netflix? Why am I going to do blah, 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 blah? Why am I doing that? And you have to ask yourself that question and be quiet and wait for the answer to come. Because your body always knows the truth, right? Yeah, the mind can play tricks. The mind can play tricks on you. But the body will always tell you the truth. Yeah. You just have to listen.